T-minus 1 minute.
What?
More juice for the gyro.
Like the juice.
T-minus 50 seconds.
At the point where we're at, it is a lot easier for new people to get up to speed really quick.
T-minus 40 seconds.
Let's go. That's a W. That's E1. That's E1. That's a W. How many people want to eat a W tonight?
T-minus 30 seconds.
Refill taking over our camera. I think there may be a penalty for excessive celebration, but you know what? I'm going to let that one slide.
T-minus 20 seconds.
That's what I'm talking about. Now y'all some fun.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5,
Take a deep
4,
breath.
3,
This is it, right
2,
here.
1, 0.
Welcome back to the Fantasy Football Card Quest, guys. We're heading into the divisional round. We're down to just 8 teams. That's 4 games this weekend. And who would have thought it? Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill are still elite without each other. Tyreek Hill finished as a wide receiver 2 this season, whereas Patrick Mahomes finished as the QB1 with over 5,200 passing yards. Probably going to finish as the regular season MVP. So in tonight's live stream, I want to chop up the matches this weekend, divisional round. We got the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Kansas City Chiefs, right? Got the Cowboys, the 49ers, the Giants heading to Philadelphia. What version of the Eagles are we going to get? We'll talk a little bit about that. And then the Bengals at the Bills, of course, that rematch that got ended early from the scary Damar Hamlin medical emergency that, fortunately, the man is doing much better now, guys. So very excited. We got a lot to get to tonight. Plus, I've got some very big storylines that I want to get ahead of here for the free agency and draft hype cycle coming up just after the Super Bowl. I think right now is a great time to start getting in ahead of the rest of the people on some of these stories that are going to develop and blossom into giant, cloud hype bombs, if you will. So, Drew Burr, what's good, man? What's good, VA Beach, Halo's finest, Tom Bullard, good evening to you. Yes, sir, we are cardboard enthusiasts, collectors, and connoisseurs. I just want my cardboard to be covered with some nice chrome. How about that? Some nice chrome and silver prism finish. Speaking of which, got my Jalen Hurts Prism PSA 10 right there. Got to get that bad boy listed. It's not listed, man. It's not listed right now because I really haven't seen this price spike. And I think a part of this is because obviously he missed 2 games. He missed week 16 and week 17. Gardner Minshew stepped in. Gardner Minshew did ball out quietly, even though in week 17, he struggled a little bit, but still threw for 257 yards. And then in week 18, Jalen Hurts comes back. They do have a pretty low red zone efficiency, but they get the W, right? And if you go back to earlier in the season when the Eagles played the Giants, the Eagles actually scored 1 time out of 5 red zone trips. So that is pretty interesting, right? What version of the Eagles are we going to get? This game is going to be filled with a lot of nuance from either side because we didn't see the Giants blitz and play a lot of man coverage last week against the Vikings. In fact, they lowered their blitz rate big time and played a lot more zone. So are we going to see them do that against the Philadelphia Eagles, or are we going to see them revert back to the regular season heavy blitz package game plan? That'll be very interesting. I think each team is going to be kind of like a cat and mouse game where each team is trying to figure out what the trend is of the other team and plan accordingly. So we could see the game plan develop during the game and change on the fly. But as a result, we really haven't seen the hype in Jalen Hurts. So he's the first guy, like right off the bat, I'm trying to see what I can get into for Jalen Hurts. I actually found this auction that was a Prism Raw. Had 2 cars. One of them was and this just ended. This literally just ended. And that's why I was trying to get on here earlier. This auction literally just ended like a minute ago, not even a minute ago. 16 bids, $17.50. I recently sold a raw prism Jalen Hurts for $35. So I know there's instant upside. Of course, there's probably not a whole lot of upside in this base rookies and stars, but you're not really here for that, right? You're here for the base prism, just a premium base entry-level card. Now, this could go up a lot because it's event signed autograph, right? Not ending for another 6 days. That kind of limits what you can get into. There's been a lot of buy it now. Like if I go and look at his base prism PSA 10, like buy it now, buy it now, buy it now, buy it now. A lot of buy it nows. In fact, there's an event signed autograph right there, which is hard to extrapolate that data. So sometimes when you're in the app, you'll see these spikes, and a lot of times those will just be event signed cards that have been authenticated from PSA. So something to keep in mind there. Obviously, we looked at Jordan Love Phoenix Fireburst last week, and that card had an entry price point of about $25. So this buy it now would be a little bit over the current average for Jalen Hurts. If I'm looking at the Fireburst, the current average about $80. So definitely important to look at your sold transactions. I want to go and filter by auction ending soonest. I did find one on here. So, all right, here's an Optic Holo 85 or best offer. I think that's got some upside in it. Okay, that's not bad there. I'm not a big fan of the die cuts, but that event signed autograph is really cool. This Prism Silver Raw ending tonight in an hour at 129.50. The centering looks a little bit off, but the Prism Silver from 2020. Now, if you see a card like this that doesn't have the rainbow shine, now you can kind of see it at the top, but what this is a scan, and they didn't even give you the back of the card, so you can't read the little prism text on it. That's unfortunate. They really should have done that, at least provide you. But a lot of these big consignment shops, they're just scanning cards. So they're scanning so many cards on a daily basis. They can't take the time to scan the front and the back. So you get really good detail, but you can't see that that shine. You can kind of see it just barely at the top there. So in a sense, you do have to take their word for it, but an actual scan of a base prism would look much darker than this. You can see how this is very silvery. It's got a very like matte look to the scan. The actual base prism scan would be much darker than that in reality. If I were to find one, okay, here's one, perfect example. So you can see how that is much darker. That's a base prism scan right there. You can see how that looks way more metallic around the outside than it does silver. So that's the difference in a scan, right? If you see that's a scan, obviously you can see the silver prism finish in actual photographs taken with phones and whatnot. And this is actually not a bad deal because I sold a field level silver prism earlier in the season for about $140, I think it was. And I do see that this card has some upside. It has a make offer button, which is interesting. Seller has 100% positive feedback, so I like that. And it does have a make offer button. I'm going to pull up his field level silver over here. See how it's been selling. Population of 201 on the PSA 10s. 10 sales in the past month. 320, though, on the PSA 10 buy. Now, typically, you want to see a 5x difference between the raw and a PSA 10. So it almost seems like there's upside in the PSA 10 here. Definitely upside in the SGC 10, getting at 145. That was back on January 1st. Always a good time to snipe auctions is on a holiday, man. Tell you guys what. Let's see. Yeah, so definitely upside in the PSA 10 at that price of around 300 because you can see the auctions this week, Tuesday, just a couple days ago, 345, 360 from Probstein, Sports Connection, Cobus Cards. I still see Jalen Hurts as the most undervalued quarterback left in the playoffs, besides maybe Daniel Jones, who's going up against him. But man, I don't see the Eagles losing this game at home. They're without their slot corners, so that could open things up for the Giants through the slot. Isaiah Hodgins looks like he is going to play. So they'll have their typical Richie James, Isaiah Hodgins, and Darius Slayton this weekend for the Giants. Otherwise, the Eagles seem pretty healthy. I think that there's going to be a lot of nuance in that game. They are currently, let me see if I go on 1 week season and look at the Giants Eagles. Yeah, they're just under 7-point favorites, 6.5-point favorites in this game. Over-unders at 48. So that means Vegas is projecting the game 50% of the time to go over 48, other 50% under 48. If we look at the stat line, like the pick'em lines for that game on Underdog Fantasy, we've got we kind of jump straight to it. Just giving you guys the goods tonight, man. This is my favorite play right here left in the playoffs. And then we're going to talk about some of these big storylines coming up in the off season. 50.5 rushing yards for Jalen Hurts. That's a pretty solid line, but definitely can surpass that. 245.5 passing yards. Ever a game for Jalen Hurts to see an uptick in his rushing if they have issues in the passing department, if they want to control the game clock, et cetera, et cetera. This would be a good game for Jalen Hurts to start running the ball again, presumably healthy. You have 9 rushing attempts as well, 30 passing attempts, 304 total yards. A.J. Brown, 74.5 receiving yards. Devonta Smith, 63.5. Dallas Goedert, 48.5. All these lines are set pretty fair. Pretty fair. I don't see anyone that's egregiously under or overvalued. Then you have a few lines here from the Giants. All pretty fair as well. Let's see what the rushing stat line is for Saquon Barkley, Daniel Jones. Saquon's at 70.5 rushing yards, 98.5 rushing plus receiving. 45.5 rushing yards for Daniel Jones. So, yeah, all really, really fair. Nothing egregiously under or overvalued there. I want to look and see what Daniel Jones has kind of done throughout this week, where he's currently at now. I think looks like some of his cards have hit somewhat of a plateau throughout this week, as we're looking at field level silver, though, $150 buy it now on the PSA 10. There's definitely upside in this card, man. If they upset the Eagles, all of a sudden, wow. Because, I mean, I've already seen the entire atmosphere, the entire conversation around Daniel Jones change from commentators, from social media, on Twitter, on ESPN, So if they were to somehow upset the Eagles in this game, that would be massive. And they're going to play either the 49ers or the Cowboys, which is actually going to be a pretty close game. So you can only imagine what Brock Purdy's cards are going to go up to. They're already up to base mosaics, up to like 80, 85. Like, here's a great example. I mean, it's not a base card. We have a 10 grade here. SGC slab, silver, consignment, hour and a half. Like, man, getting that for under $50 seems like a really good buy. Not just this year, but you got to think, if you advance this far in the playoffs, you also secure, whether it's a franchise tag or whether it's a brand new contract for Daniel Jones next year, then all of a sudden you get a lot of hype heading into the season, right? You kind of pick up where you left off for most part. Like, this happened to guys like Ryan Tannehill back in 2020. This happened last year. I mean, this happened last year for a lot of teams that made it to the playoffs, got eliminated. Come back at the beginning of the season. If you finish really strong, then there's going to be hype for you in September. So you have plenty more future opportunities to realize profit in that card. But look, as PSA 10 is currently like $80, $90. $99.99, a 125. So talking about that hyper relevancy, look at when that was Sunday, Jan 15th, 6 p.m. Right? That's when you'll realize your biggest profit is during the game time when it looks like that team is gonna lock up the win, or there's big highlights, some big media popping. So let's look at the SGC trend. Really, no sales in the past month. Wow. Really no sales. The last one was like May 10th for $32. Literally May 10th for $32. We do have buy it nows on the 9. So the SGC 10 is going to go somewhere between the 9 and the PSA 10. So if you're looking at a peak of game time of 125, so realistically we can say right now about 100. And then we go back and say, okay, well, we've got 34. So if I could get this for anything under $50, I'm sitting really good. 50, 60, still sitting really good. Like still sitting in a very favorable situation. PSA 10, 89.95. I think that's going to be closer to fair market value where it's currently at. Yeah, they've kind of priced themselves in for a little price spike there. See the auction still dipping down throughout the week. Thursday, those buy it now for 200. But that was earlier this afternoon. Literally, someone couldn't wait 5 hours to capitalize and get that card half off in auction. Look at all these auctions that ended. Looks like a lot of them were from the same guy. I wonder if that's multiple listings. It looks like maybe, yeah, okay. There's a couple different serial numbers there. So a couple different listings. But someone literally couldn't wait. And then if we go back, Tuesday, January 17th, at nighttime, 102.50. Let's go back all the way, though, to so it's important to go back to the weekend. Got to go back to Sunday. 86, 100. Buy nows for 70, a lot of 70s. 115. That was an auction ended Sunday at 8:21. So we're getting very close to where that hyper relevancy spike would have been. And then, yeah, obviously a lot of people had their buy nows listed at 50, probably if they got that card for 20, 30, or they just had it listed for a while and never really re-examined the price to modify it based on the playoff situation or the fact that, that game was close. So, they could have wanted to just flat out sell the card. 78, man, so many sold transactions. Like shelves were cleared Sunday for Daniel Jones. I'm so many $40 to $50 transactions on it too. Like so many 40. I'm still okay. I'm back on Friday, so I've kind of blown past the hyper relevancy. So I think ultimately it was like 75. Definitely not the same upside there. Probably because base, even though it is Prism, it's still a base card. Whereas that Select has the silver finish and a much lower population report. Eli's, what's good, man? Eli Sports says go subscribe. Okay, shameless plug for Eli's coming in. I like the pen pals. It looks like, I can't tell who it is. That looks like maybe a pen pals Kenneth Walker. Let's see. Okay, I had a question here from Drew Burr. Feelings about edited photos with contrast or color range to make silvers or hollows look more colorful. Interesting. Well, I mean, if it adds to the, I guess, the resolution or like the detail that I'm able to see, like there are certain filters that will show if the card it'll illuminate a dimple or it'll illuminate a color change at the edge of a card, which is really important because when you're examining edges, you want color to be constant all the way to the edge of that card. So if you have a chrome finish, you want that chrome to go all the way to the edge of that card. You don't want to see any whitening. So if there are certain filters that that kind of distort the light and will illuminate things like dimples and color change at the edge of cards, which I think can be useful in certain scenarios for certain cards. But overall, I do like the natural lighting, good lighting, right? Especially for, you know, a higher dollar card. Like, I think there is some merit to having a card scanned. And if it is like a really nice card, then there is definitely some merit to having it scanned and a natural light photograph, because a scan illuminates those little imperfections. But of course, if it is a higher dollar card, chances are you either got it graded. Matt Murray got a Daniel Jones PSA 9 field level red prism out of 50 for $80 shipped 1 week ago. Nice, man. Get that sucker listed, ready to go, man. So, what's good, man? He said you don't want to be deceptive with your edits, but slight change the lighting that are already there shouldn't be an issue. I like it. I like it. Cheers to you guys. Got my field level koozie, artificial turf. Got my little dogfish head, slightly mighty. We're dug in tonight for some eBay live sniping, some football card comping. We're gonna do some live betting on Underdog Fantasy. My man, Hitman Steve, he was just getting back into town tonight. We had some scheduling conflicts. He has some things to take care of. He was just getting back into town, man. So he will certainly be back next week. This is what happens when I try and read comments and drink beer and think at the same time. Hey, what's good? Christopher Lopez, Holy Beasting, said, what do you typically pre-list cards for? So this is a very somewhat nuanced question. It really depends on the player, the card that you have. And then there's some other factors that I would take into consideration. How badly do you want to sell the card? So that's a big one. That's a big one. So here we go. Here we have a specific example. What would you list a rated rookie, optic hollow or silver hollow Deebo Samuel for? All right. So let's pull out Deebo Samuel. Wonderful game this weekend against the Cowboys in San Fran. Can Brock Purdy take them to the championship game? Deebo Samuel, big component of the offense, rushing and receiving. All right, we're looking for his optic hollow. So Deebo just locked up a big contract with San Fran, right? He's got a lot of time left. Super dynamic, explosive athlete. We did have a PSA 10 sell on January 7th for 90. Only a population of 24. That was a very good snipe from somebody there. The PSA 9, because the PSA 9, typically you want to see a much bigger disparity between the 9 and the 10. That's how it tells you the 10 was super undervalued in that situation. The 9, December 20th for 70.74. I like to list my cards for about what the raw goes for. Understanding that Deebo Samuel's optic hollows are going to be very liquid, very popular card. You're going to have a pretty easy time selling that. If you go look on eBay and scroll down the left-hand side, look at sold items, you find one Jan 15th, but this was 4 days ago. So you see the last transaction on it was 4 days ago for $25. So that's when I'm like, okay, so before the last game or on the last game was selling for 25. Right now, what do I have in terms of a buy it now available for Deebo? I got $30 one or best offer. So definitely want to look at what's available out there, because you can always buy one for 25, 30. Now, I'm sure you can make yours look better. A couple ways you can do that is with a one-touch case. Put it in a one-touch case. The lighting's pretty good in these pictures. There's the SGC scan looking pretty clean right there. Lighting's pretty good in these pictures, but we're going to try and sell it on the hype this weekend. And if you're not like super hard pressed to sell it, I would list it closer to this $50 range. Honestly, if you're not that hard pressed to sell it, I would have that card somewhere between 40 and 50. All right. If you want to add additional value to it from that, I'd say get it graded. Get it graded and look to sell it next year. I mean, 49ers have a dynasty. They got a dynasty going, man. So this card is going to be safe for a while. You could also, this field level silver, that's like, you really can't list it for higher than a field level silver. So this field level silver hasn't sold at the moment for $39.99. Don't see a whole lot wrong with it. You could have like a little dimple right there. Looks like there could be a little nicks in it. I see a dimple. You see it right there on the right hand side, guys, in one of the swerves, the design lines, the etched lines in the card. You can kind of see it right there. Definitely kind of see some little dimples. But, I mean, not too many people are going to notice that bad boy right there. So yeah, I'd list it somewhere around 40, 45. Cool. So back to the first game, Jags at Chiefs. Now I know a lot of you guys want to pinpoint somebody on the Chiefs that we can look to for this weekend that could potentially go off. That's undervalued. Patrick Mahomes is not undervalued. Now there is some small opportunity for growth in his cards, but you're going to already have to pay a premium in the cards, right? I mean, you can see the optic. The optic is actually his most popular graded card sold in the past 30 days. Let's zoom out to 180 and see if that's still the case. Yep, still the case. It's a combination of price point. It's a combination of availability, population of 3,703, 2,800 nines, compared to the base donors, which we talked about before, for almost 1,400 10s, but almost 5,000 nines. So really hard to get a 10. And that's why a lot of times you'll see this base donors PSA 10. It goes for basically the same as the optic. But I really, if I had the choice between the optic or the 10 or the base donors, I'm going to go with the optic just because it's a nicer card. But if it's in a PSA 10 slab, there's a counter argument to that, because if it's in a PSA 10 slab, you don't actually get to feel the texture of the card. I guess you could still see it, but the card is, it's secured in air quotes, and it's already graded. So the thing is there, like the thickness of the PSA slab is exactly the same. You have the exact same photo. You have the exact same logo on it in terms of the rated rookie logo. The only difference is optic and Donruss. And actually the Donruss name brand is going to be more recognizable for new people getting into the hobby than optic is, to be honest with you. Think about Donruss, how far that goes back. I'm sure you guys can all remember Donruss from the 90s, late 80s. So Donruss goes way back, whereas optic is a brand that just started in 2016. It's kind of like the chrome finish Donruss brand. And then you have us Prism, which is obviously kind of the gold standard for Patrick Mahomes in 2017. Very expensive card. This card is not undervalued when you're looking at a PSA 9 of right at $1,000 or even an 8. So the raw card is actually going to sell for more than the 8 in this scenario. Let's go and look at what is closing for Patrick Mahomes tonight. The Chiefs are absolutely 8.5 point favorites in this game. Now, I will tell you that both of their defenses have holes. Both of their defenses are exploitable. This game could turn into a shootout. It's got the highest total out of all the games this weekend. The likeliest game flow here, from my perspective, is that Kansas City gets out to an early lead, which forces Jacksonville to more or less air it out and get into a shootout, which Kansas City's defensive secondary is exploitable. So Trevor Lawrence is going to have to bring his A game, and we'll see. We'll see. I mean, there is a possibility that the Jaguars will be able to hang with them into the second half, and this game could be pretty high scoring. It could be quite entertaining. It's also the first game of the weekend, so I think a lot of people are going to be drawn to this game on Saturday afternoon. What did I type in 2017 Trevor Lawrence? Man. Multitasking brain is not activated fully tonight. What's good, Eric? All right, let's check it out. So that score is really popular. I notice that score pop up all the time. It's got a very healthy population report. It's got that RC logo. So this is a great example of the RC shield or RC logo being able to really carry a card, because typically what you'll find with college uniform cards, they just tank in value after the pro uniform cards come out. But the fact it is Patrick Mahomes and the fact that his other cards are so expensive, the next best thing is a college uniform card, but it's got this RC shield. So you look at it and you're like, oh, that's a legitimate rookie card for Patrick Mahomes. So this RC shield is a big added value component, right? The worst thing you want is a college uniform card that does not have that. And that's why ultimately the cards from Leaf and Sage and Hit and Wild Card or other, unlicensed brands like that are going to go for a lot less, especially when they're not autographed and they're not serial numbered, and they don't have they don't have this rookie card shield. So $69.95. Let's check that out, man, because that's very close to where I think there could be. Here is an buy it now Sunday overnight for $90. So actually, I mean, this is not bad right here. I mean, we go back to Tuesday, December 27th for $78 buy it now. I mean, honestly, if you're looking to get into something for Patrick Mahomes under 100, this is your guy. And the data shows 131 sales in the past 6 months, 2 sales in the past week, 9 sales in the past month. But of course, that's because of the 9, right? People are going to gravitate towards the 10 if they can get it. The 10, let's see how much higher the 10 is from that 9. The 9 is $69.95. It's got 7 watchers. Somebody's going to buy it at that. So I guess with tax and stuff, yeah, you're definitely limiting your upside, but you could probably get $100 out of it. I mean, the likelihood of the Chiefs at least going to the championship game is high, and they're still going to be the favorites regardless of who they play, the Bengals or the Bills. They're actually be bigger favorites if they play the Bills just because of their win-loss record against the Bengals, right? So that's an interesting listing there. You have like virtually a 0% shot of getting a PSA 10 on this card. Look at the corner whitening on this card. It's really bad. So 169, maybe somebody buys it, but that's definitely overvalued. Definitely overvalued. Here's a great example. Here's a PSA 10. Such a goofy photo too, man. I guess he looks super young. He looks like a teenager in this picture. But I don't know. The way the photo is very robotic. It's such a goofy photo. But here's a Leaf draft card right? So you can see this card does not have that. Even though Leaf makes a good card, like there's a lot of people that are fans of Leaf, but still, this in PSA 10 condition is still only going to sell for max at $67.99. I'm surprised this 108 sold on here. I guess that's that's another thing. You're looking at the grade. Okay, it's PSA 10. How far is that PSA 10 grade going to take it? Look, somebody bought a ton of them. Look, this guy's got quantity selling them for 65. But when you actually let's go over here, back over to our app, which you guys can get access to, by the way, if you don't have it already. Just go. You can get access at patreon.com/footballcards for as little as $6 a month. And we also offer a lot of other things. Drew, Bob, shout out to some of the patrons. You patrons, you guys are the glue. You guys are the glue that holds this show together, man. So really, really appreciate you guys. Special shout out to you guys. Bob, do you think some skill position players that aren't as popular like Kirk, Hurst, or Ingram are worth a look? Well, I do, Bob, because I think that ultimately there is a sweet spot for these guys, man. If you can get rookie autograph stuff, right? I use autograph because autograph typically comes with a serial number. It typically comes with some type of color match or silver prism finish, and typically that's what people are going to gravitate towards first, because what I found is there's a price point sweet spot, of anywhere between $30 to $60 that a lot of collectors will spend on a skill position player on a whim. So you can look at these guys for Evan Ingram, Christian Kirk, Hayden Hurst. If you can find these type of rookie autograph cards for 10, 20, depending on the scarcity, right? There's absolutely a big market for super rare cards where people will spend up to about $200 to $300 on a very rare, flawless, or national treasures skill position sleeper type of guy, especially if he's on a big market team and they've now advanced to the AFC championship game, NFC championship game, that kind of thing. So there's absolutely a market for it. There's a lot of sold data backing that up, and we can absolutely look at some of them on here. I want to see if I can even find this Leaf card for Mahomes. There's so much other stuff selling before that Leaf card. Like there's the hit. Here's the hit card right here. $50. The in focus, the hit from Premier Draft, going for about 60. And that's how you know there's like a price sweet spot, because look at the percentage increases in that card. People trying to get a slice of the Patrick Mahomes pie right there. Even the classics, actually the classics does pretty good. Maybe that has to do with the photograph. You also have a much lower population there. Classics definitely has some fans. The Classics is actually doing pretty good there. Average of 200, man. Current trend about 160. There could be a Classics. Like you see that spike right there, November 18th. Yeah, okay. See, there you go. So that was an autographed one. Classics autograph. Could have been an event signed autograph. It's really hard to extrapolate that data. So if you see those spikes in the app like that, this card has really stayed pretty stagnant. Although the current trend, let's look at the buy it now. The current trend, yeah, about 160, man. From November 18th to now, 160. That's pretty solid. But the Leaf is not even on here. So I think there's a little bit of people trying to portray that card as more popular than it is. Quite a few base donruss rated rookies, man. Quite a few base down. I would feel okay getting one for under 100, but there's a lot more on here now. Just the hard part is knowing that there's such a low Such a low gem rate. Actually, this one's not a bad one right here. I'm actually surprised. This person's got 100% positive. This Mahomes Elite, because it does have a chrome finish. We got a rookie card shield. I mean, it's another really goofy picture. Like, what what is he doing in the? It's just a really awkward picture that they chose for that. So let's go back and see if the Elite's on here. I've actually seen this card quite a bit before. I'm surprised at how cheap they have it on there, to be honest with you. All right, here's the Elite draft picks. And a 10, January 7th, only a population of 230 on the PSA 10. The PSA 9, 18 sales. Okay, only 2 sales in the past month. $42. All right, so it's really been devalued quite a bit. You do have a little bit. Yeah, well, that's okay. $29. Actually, a $29. I don't know how Jared Goff got in here. $29 January 9th auction for an 8, and then a $42 9. So actually, I mean, that's a fair deal. Fair deal on that card. It doesn't probably feel great getting that card, but at the same time, like, it's, pretty safe card. Pretty safe card right now for quick flip, man, this is a small market. And this is why people look at that and they're like, well, yeah, I might as well go and see if I can get like Christian Kirk rookie ticket auto, or what about Kadarius Toney? Like Mecole Hardman is out. Mecole Hardman is not going to play this game. Sky Moore is dealing with a hand issue, and he's questionable. But his max snap share for the entire season, his peak snap share has been 50%. And so, yeah, he may have the athletic ability to convert a big opportunity into something worthwhile. But if he's getting that low of a snap share, I would say look at a guy like Kadarius Toney, who has got all of his rookie cards out from last year. He's also got draft capital. This guy comes from the Giants. Got a really interesting story, kind of with how volatile he's been on the field. He's kind of a knucklehead, but the guy is incredibly explosive. He could put up one of those big performances. He can score from pretty much anywhere on the field. Obviously, Travis Kelce's going to be a target leader. Juju Smith-Schuster gets on average between 7 to 12 targets, depending on how healthy he is. He is healthy, so that's obviously a big consideration. And Kadarius Toney, though, with having the youth component, the draft capital coming from the Giants, having gone to University of Florida, although his role there was not very expansive. Let's see what kind of pick'ems they have for him on Underdog Fantasy. I do want to fill out a slip here. What do we got? 2.5 passing touchdowns from Mahomes. I'm going higher on that. Absolutely. All day. It's not egregiously low, but if for a playoff game for Patrick Mahomes, they want to throw the ball and throw the ball some more and throw the ball some more. I mean, Patrick Mahomes could throw the ball like 68 times this game. Serious. I'm not kidding. Let's see what his attempts were. 42 attempts versus. So I'm looking at a game like where it's actually relevant. 42 against Denver was the last like real one that you have to look at. But there was against Tennessee a few weeks ago. He threw for like 68 times. Trevor Lawrence, I think he also throws for 267, 250 total passing yards. I like this. I like the yardage. I like the attempts. You got to paint the story. Like if Patrick Mahomes is throwing 3 touchdowns, that is absolutely going to force Trevor Lawrence and Doug Peterson to open up the playbook, get things vertical, get things in the air. 38.5 passing attempts. Pretty juicy line. Pretty juicy line. How many times did he throw the ball against the Chargers? 47 times? Yeah. All right. Give me that one. We're going to go higher. We're going to go higher on the pass attempts. There's your boy Christian Kirk, Bob. Yeah, that's what I was just over there. I want to look at the line, but $19.99 or best offer on a rookie ticket auto, Tony. Even though it's base contenders, so you have the same edge and corner issues as you do with based honors. That is not a bad deal. Not a bad deal at all. Look at this one, ending in an hour. $6.53 Origins. Make sure to look at those corners and edges again on Origins. Unfortunately, it's another one that, but this has very, very nice artistic background, cool coloring, right? You got like that color background. And you have an on-card autograph here. These aren't super common, so definitely a nice little snipe there that you could turn around and sell for like 20, 30. You've got a Genesis, man. Check out this Genesis. That's Saturday night, so that's after the game. That could go way, way, way up. Way up. I like that red wave out of 149 Saturday at 7:03. So you got some smart sellers, man, knowing when to end their auction during game time. Blue cracked ice, numbered out of 99. Cracked ice is very popular, even if it's not color matched, to be honest with you guys. And you add in the serial number. I wouldn't want to pay like $30, $40 for this card. I'd say it's overvalued, but if you can get it for like under 20, really nice little snipe. Yeah, so I mean his cards are really undervalued because of the limited productivity and the fact that he has struggled with injuries, but he's the type of guy that's still so young, and now with his current role on a current team with the Chiefs, I mean, we could be looking at one spike game here in the playoffs that could absolutely send a ton of demand to eBay for his cards. So it's a really interesting quick flip, especially something like this right here. Really like this. Really like this. This is Friday at 6:30, 8:27. Definitely going to have some competition. So plan for that. Like if you're trying to get into this auction, you can't put in a bid for $15 and expect to win this card. You're not going to win it. I think it's also serial numbered too. Let's check it out. No, not serial numbered. So just I like that dragon scale design. That's what the dragon scale looks like. But I like that. I like that. It's nice cards because you have color match to the Chiefs here. Yeah, you're gonna have to put in a max bid of like 28 or 31 and let it ride. You probably would win it with that. And then you see where you get it at. But yeah, that's an interesting one. Filter by ending soonest would probably help a little bit better. See what's going on tonight. Gold standard, overvalued. Orange reactive looks nice, but nobody, no competition. It's a $5 card max. See that Origins has potential right there. And then let's see what else we got. A lot of riffraff. PSA 10 has potential, definitely. Base Prism, premium base card in the hobby. Friday 12/11. This definitely has potential because this card has $60 to $70 upside. Instant flip. People will spend base Prism PSA 10 on a guy that breaks out, a singular game, playoffs. I mean, think Gabe Davis last year against the Chiefs, but maybe to a smaller degree. The thing is, Kadarius Toney is way more explosive. Obviously doesn't have as big of a role as Gabe Davis, but he's way more explosive, just electric on the field. In terms of being able to to make moves in the open field, break tackles, and score from anywhere. And I know that Gabe Davis, playoff Gabe, Tom. Glad you're here, Tom. I'm actually glad you're here for this, Tom. I told people to sell Gabe Davis last week. Well, and I was right, because I still think that he's a sell this playoff season. I don't think he's a long-term hold anymore, man. I think you go ahead and you realize your peak profits on him now. Dude, the kicker market, like what's his name? Harrison what is his name? The kicker for the Chiefs. Yeah, I appreciate you, Tom. Glad you made it live too, sir. Christopher Lopez, Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, you never know where Tony could end up next season. What was his line on Underdog Fantasy? This is UnderdogFantasy.com, by the way. This is one of our partners of the show, along with the the Card Shop Live. And we do a lot of pick'ems. Basically, pick over, under on player stats. And you could instantly, like, 20x your money, up to 20x your money. We have a promo code Quest. If you're new to it, you can get 100% instant deposit bonus by going to UnderdogFantasy.com, putting in promo code Quest. That will literally, you can put in as much as $100 and they'll give you an instant free $100. And then you could cash it all out if you wanted to. I'm serious. It's an instant deposit bonus. It's not a trickle effect. You don't have to play a certain amount of events. Like, it's instant, man. It's instant. That's why I love these guys. And then you can play the player props. You can play the drafts. They have drafts going for the playoffs. I have guys ask me, like, how am I still playing fantasy football after the season? And that's with Underdog Fantasy. I'm able to get into drafts on here. I'm picking players I think are going to make it to the Super Bowl, perform the best throughout the duration of playoffs into the Super Bowl, and potentially take home big prizes. Like, there's a $5 entry, mitten returns. You could potentially take home 20 grand, so definitely want to check it out. 5.5 receptions on Christian Kirk. I like this. I'm going over on this at 5, either Zay Jones or Kirk. Actually, I'll take the over on Zay Jones. It's just as easy, just as easy. I do think there's upside in kickers. Kelsey. Oh yeah. Give me the over on Kelsey. If Mahomes is going over 2.5 passing touchdowns, I want to look at some guys that have Kadarius Toney, 31.5. Boom. We're at 5 picks already, right? Now, your probability of hitting 5 picks is pretty low. Pretty low. You got to get 5 things right on the same slip. Sure, you can put insurance, and when you put the insurance on, it's going to lower your return, potential win rate on your picks, but you don't have to get as many right. You don't have to get as many right. Now, if you want, you can always, like I did, pick'ems, NFL pick'ems. So I got 2, the 5 slips I made last week, I got 2 out of 5 right. And you could do just 2 picks. So we got the Dobbins over, just barely, man. We didn't get the Joe Mixon touchdown. We hit the Hayden Hurst over. There you go, Bob. We hit the Hayden Hurst over, and T. Higgins went under. Well, Baltimore got destroyed on the time of possession. That's not going to happen again, guys. This weekend, that's not going to happen again. I've got the Chiefs edging out the Jags here, edging out. They're 8.5-point favorites, but I do think the Chiefs will come out with the win here. I've got the Eagles beating the Giants as my pick there. Bengals at Bills. This one is going to be very, very close. Very, very close. Very close. Can that Bengals offensive line hold up to the Bills' pressure? Bills don't have Von Miller. I know they're wishing they had Von Miller, but they're not going to have him for the playoffs. That's a big difference maker. Bills are slight favorites. Originally, we thought this was going to be playing at a neutral site. It's going to be played in Buffalo. So, get a rematch. And Man, this is going to be really close. This is going to be a very entertaining game. Sunday, 3 p.m. I know what the weather's up there like, Tom, but so no Micah Hyde either. So that's definitely a big factor. Another big factor. It's going to be close, man. It's going to be really, really close. Obviously, whoever comes out of this game, the winner, card value is going to go up. If I had to pick one, man, I think it's the Bills. I'm going with the Bills here at home. The hunger. The Bills are tired of being bridesmaid. They want to be a bride finally this year. I think they actually get there. I think the Bills do find a way to get home to Joe Burrow. I think the Bills win this game. I think the ball bounces their way towards the end. I think they win this game. Cowboys at 49ers. This one is really close. Part of me wants to pick the 49ers to win here, but I think part of me wants to pick the Cowboys to win here. Let me re-say that because I said it wrong. Part of me wants to pick the Cowboys to win here, but I think obviously the 49ers, the favorite at home. I don't know, man. I feel like the Cowboys may upset them here, but Brock Purdy has been so solid, and the Cowboys have got to come up with a game plan to stop this 49ers run offense. 49ers run offense is elite, man, and the Cowboys run defense is okay. It's okay. So this is going to be a great game. I mean, really, really good game. Both of these games Sunday, I think, are going to be. Although I think the Giants are going to keep it closer with the Eagles than the spread currently says. I think this game could come down to a field goal. It could. Depends on the turnover battle. If for whatever reason the Eagles are able to force some turnovers on Daniel Jones and the Giants, then all of a sudden I can see them winning by a larger margin. Although I think the Giants' offense is going to be productive. I think they are going to be able to move the ball. It's really going to come down to that Eagles red zone efficiency and the turnover battle. So it's very interesting there. I think that the Chiefs, this one has the potential to stay closer, but I think the Chiefs will end up winning by like 7 to 10 points by the end of it. Because you got to think, I mean, the Jags turned the ball over 4 times in the first half against the Chargers last week. I mean, and then scored 4 touchdowns in the second half. That's not going to happen against the Chiefs. Like, he could turn the ball over 4 times, but the Chiefs are not going to just totally go anemic in the second half. You know what I'm saying? So I think that I think they're going to be too little too late. He could even have a couple mistakes again at the beginning of this game, but I feel like he got a lot of mistakes out of his system last game. We'll see. And the Chargers defense, the zone scheme they cooked up for Trevor Lawrence was good, man. They really messed him up the first half. Some of those interceptions, he just got picked apart. I still like the Chiefs though. And then I like the Bills. Got the Eagles. I'm gonna actually. I don't know, man. I don't know if the inner Tony Pollard fan in me wants me to go with the Cowboys here, but this could be upset. This could be the Cowboys upsetting the 49ers. The Cowboys are playing so good right now. Both these offenses are super explosive. I think Micah Parsons is he's not 100%. He hasn't been 100% for the end of the season, but he doesn't need to be 100% to still be elite, right? So well coached, Bob. So well coached. Tom, just once, please, Lord, let us have one, just one before I go. I hear you, man. I think this is goes into part of the reason why you guys get there. I mean, you guys are so hungry for it, so hungry, so hungry. Tom says, "Oh, funny story. I'm an idiot sometimes. I don't know why, for some reason, up until last week, I thought Micah Parsons was a CB, which astounded me with all the sacks. Then realized last week he's a D. The thing is, he is so dynamic and he's so good. He can actually drop into coverage at a pretty. He got actually pretty good PFF grades dropping into coverage. He can drop back and play linebacker, free safety. I mean, the guy is so dynamic. He's so good at all levels on defense that he could do it all, man. He could do it all. I don't know what kind of. I mean, his cards have gotten pricey. Talk about comparisons of just storylines in general, just player quality. When you combine the athletic profile with the right role and the right execution, let's go and look at the Micah Parsons sold. Yeah, check out that rookie ticket auto. This is the same one for Kadarius Toney. Saw him go for under 20, right? This is when you put the whole package together. You have the athletic ability combined with the role, combined with the fact he's executed that athletic ability and that role to the highest level and the biggest market team. Doesn't matter if he's a defensive player. The guy is going to be hyped up. The cards are going to be incredibly expensive. We've got $100 plus rookie ticket autos here. I mean, we if you want to compare this, you have to compare this to somebody who's the absolute top of the 2021 draft class. Like, go and compare him to Jamar Chase. Go and compare him to Jalen Waddle. I think Jamar Chase is a great comparison right now because of the fact he's in the playoffs still, and he's a skill position player, and his athletic ability is off the charts, just like Michael Parsons. Got the Prism Chase, and then yeah, raw base Prism off center. It's not going to get any love. Sorry. Maybe at 99 cent, but not at 15 start. I'm on auction ending soonest, aren't I? What we got? 0 bids. Some people afraid, man, afraid to roll the dice and take that actual market value. Check out this card. Wow. Today, 1105, 1,000. Got the NFL player tag. Got the JC1 up top sticker. This is probably like the 10th page of the sticker book, you know, where you see a lot of other cards from Jamar Chase where he actually, you know, he writes out this like this right here. This beautiful card right here. Here you go, Drew. This is your name on it, brother. Field pass with a gold Sharpie. Oh man, this card is sick. Actual game photo, playing the Vikings, horizontal format, but does it really matter whenever you have something this rare, this nice? BGS 8.5, but look at what's the subgrades? 8.5 edges, 8.5 corners, 9 centering, 9 surface. Yeah. What is that? Numbered out of 79? No. 20. Do they put the 25? Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it's gold. It's gold, man. Should list this as gold. Yeah, okay, he does. Awesome. Yeah, ComC. So I would actually log into ComC. You could potentially find this card, maybe get it slightly cheaper, but it's an auction, so I think it is what it is. No discount there. Really nice card. Like, that's kind of a grail card, so there's a ton of collection value there to it. But you can see a difference in autograph. There's another version because the elements are on card. These carbon metallic cards, really interesting, but nobody's going to pay that much for it. I get it's out of 6, but elements is not a highly popular set. You got to really be into that kind of thing. That's an interesting Leaf Ultimate Draft gold foil out of 50. Not quite enough to get $100. I could see that card selling for more around $50. You know? I really like the obsidian design, but what ruins this card is just plain white patch. Like, that is just the ugliest patch, man. Like, this card has the sickest design. I love the design, including the orange, like, cave icicles, whatever you want to call that design, for the autograph spot. And you have a full J Chase 1 auto here. So this was close to the beginning of the sticker book before he was sick and tired of signing his name in Panini sticker books. But man, come on, guy. Come on, Obsidian. Like, give a couple colors. Like, these jerseys aren't from games or anything. You shouldn't have a shortage of jerseys, right? You should not have a shortage of jerseys. Just grab some type of decent looking jersey. Like, that plain patch is just so unappealing to me. It's turn off, guys. Here's a rookie ticket auto. 1 day left. That guy wants a lot for it. Let me go to the solds. Let me see, because now we're starting to get rookie ticket autos. There were very few out on the market for Jamar Chase last year. There was that was Jan 11th. See, very few. I think one of you guys got that, right? I think Ramrod got that. 190. Here you go. 190. Let me see if this is the variation or the base. Yeah, it says variation, but there's a way you can tell. There's a little football. Yeah, okay. Well, there you go. All right, see the little football on the back with a V in it? There'll be a difference in jersey color. Like, one's home, one's away jersey. But the easiest way is just to look at the back and look for that little V in the football. That's supposed to be the short print photo variation. That supposedly, according to a blog on Panini's website, means that the print run is 150. But that's a nice on-card autograph, blue Sharpie. It's a nice card, man. But went for 190. So I would think that the base one goes for about the same as the Micah Parsons. A lot of variations going here for some pretty big money. 206. What is it, Devonta Smith? You could also put a bet on Devonta Smith this weekend. I like that bet. I like that bet. Pretty good. Invisible ink. Cool, I'm at $25 value. What's up, Derek? See what Tom said. I have Jamar Chase RC supposed to be autoed, but wasn't. Or at least it says auto is certified by Panini on the back. Grabbed it because thought cool error and can't afford real auto, so grabbed the invisible ink Obsidian. Nice. Picking up out of playoffs. Oh, okay. So I do want to talk a little bit about that. We're in hour 8. Don't have my wingman, but I do want to talk about a little bit about players to pick up this offseason, because he has some big storylines, right? The Bears getting the #1 overall pick. You could say that Lovie Smith wanted to stick it to the Texans ownership because they kind of did him dirty, man. They kind of did him dirty. And the Texans defense really played above and beyond expectations this past year. You can say that Lovie Smith went for the extra 2 points at the end of week 18 to stick it to the ownership. So that way they miss out on their #1 overall pick. That goes to the Bears. Justin Fields looked like he was the best athlete on the field with the ball in his hands for the Bears. But the thing is, I think that the #1 overall pick is worth more than Justin Fields currently is in the NFL market, because Justin Fields has shown a very polarizing skill set between being an elite rusher, but then is he really a good passer, right? They really have had a lot of issues there. They didn't start using him properly till halfway through the season. They also ran a run-heavy game approach. They also have very bad offensive line. They also were without Darnell Mooney for second half of the season, and you could argue that both Darnell Mooney and Chase Claypool are both like wide receiver 2s. So they don't have a true alpha wide receiver. So all those could be reasons why Justin Fields wasn't as good of a passer. But at the same time, when other NFL teams are evaluating whether or not they want to, the Bears themselves are evaluating whether or not they want to keep Justin Fields or draft a new quarterback, I think you've got to build around this guy. And I think the number 1 overall pick is going to be worth a lot more right now than what you would get for Justin Fields. You probably get like a mid first round pick maybe for him, or a second round pick, or maybe 2 second round picks for Fields right now. Whereas for the number 1 overall pick, I think you can get a lot more for right now. Whether it's teams after Bryce Young or CJ Stroud or one of these guys, or maybe one of these wide receivers coming out. Or any of the guys in the trenches, right? The offensive linemen, this is what the Bears need to do. They need to build in the trenches. They've got some young talent, their defensive secondary, in like Jaquan Brisker and Jalen Johnson. And as Steve has talked about these guys, and we've seen them flash at times this season, but they need help on the defensive line. Linebackers, trade away Roquan Smith, right? Trade away Robert Quinn, so they got to build in the trenches, man. They got to build in the trenches and build around Justin Fields. So I think Fields ultimately stays with the Bears. That's an offseason prediction for you guys. Took a ton of sacks, but I think Fields stays there. So you can look at potentially picking up Justin Fields. They build around him. Maybe they spend this number 1 overall pick, start building in on the offensive line, start picking up some better wide receivers. There's a variety of scenarios that I see could play out this offseason to build around Fields that would lead to some Fields hype heading into September. So, and I would be looking at him right now before people start catching on to the storyline. And right now they're distracted from the playoffs. And after the playoffs, they're going to start focusing and really digging into these storylines. So Houston, right? Houston is in total rebuild mode. Honestly, I don't think, they do have some good offensive linemen. Their left tackle, Laramie Tunsil, one of the best left tackles in the league. You could put him up there next to a guy like Trent Williams on San Francisco 49ers. So they have good guys on the offensive line that they could build around. But the thing is, the culture in Houston is terrible. Like, free agents don't want to go play there. It's a losing culture. They've now got to replace the head coach, the general manager. They've got no franchise quarterback. You could say Davis Mills wasn't given much help. But, come on, guys. Is Davis Mills really the franchise quarterback you want to build around? I don't think he is, because I think you bring in new management, new coaching, and they're going to want to pick their guy. So it'll be interesting to see if they try and trade up with the Bears to get that number 1 overall pick. Bryce Young still projected to go there, which I still think could be interesting for guys like John Mechie, Nico Collins there for Houston, just from the fact of how young they are. They do have some athletic juice. They have a pretty good athletic profile. So that would lead people to think that there could be a lot more touchdowns for them next year, and maybe they could compete. Their defense could regress though without Lovie Smith. They did him a little dirty. Arizona, I think Arizona with the number 3 overall pick, they're pretty much in complete teardown, right? You have old, aging, declining players on that roster. DeAndre Hopkins already said he wants out. So they're looking at potentially trading DeAndre Hopkins, trading Zach Ertz, and you've got to find a new head coach and a GM there. And it's got to be one that's willing to take on Kyler Murray with his big ass contract, right? And trying to win that way. I think that Sean Payton, I've heard Carter mention Sean Payton going to Arizona. That does make some sense. They would give him a ton of control. They would let Sean Payton bring in the GM that he wants and kind of craft things his way. But I don't know, man. right now, apparently the Saints want 2 first-round draft picks for Sean Payton. And he was there. I can't remember the exact figures on the dollar amounts that he wanted. So I don't think they have a new GM yet. They may have an interim, Victor. The storyline I read earlier. Anyways, yeah, well, I'll have to go do some more research on that. The Colts get the number 4 overall pick. Now, this is a team that absolutely is in the market for a quarterback. You know, they got spoiled, man. They got spoiled. Jim Irsay got spoiled. He got to go from Peyton Manning to Andrew Luck. And ever since Andrew Luck retired young, they've been lost. Whether it was Phillip Rivers or Carson Wentz or Matt Ryan this year, they just get these old, dusty, retread quarterbacks. That is not the answer for them. They were last in ADOT, average distance of target. They were last. They played very conservatively this year, which is part of the reason why they fired Frank Reich, right? And they brought in Jeff Saturday. Jeff Saturday is currently being interviewed as a candidate for their head coaching position next year. But they had a lot of regression and in their run game. And part of that was Jonathan Taylor injuries. Other part of that was their offensive line played way worse than what the talent is on that offensive line. So that's why a lot of people were pointing to the coaching for the Colts. I mean, and they took a lot of sacks, but that was partly due to the fact that Matt Ryan completely immobile. So, yeah, they need to bring in a new quarterback. They need to bring in a new head coach from the outside, probably. Honestly, if you look at it, if you look at how the Titans are regressing in the contract scenarios they're in, if you look at, and particularly the Titans defense, and the fact that Derrick Henry continues to get older and older as a running back. I know he's built different, but he ain't built that different, right? The 30, 35 carries a game is wearing on him quick, guys. And Malik Willis is not ready for the NFL, right? He's not your answer. So if you look at the other teams, you look at the turmoil the Colts are in, if they cannot solve this quarterback issue, their defense is going to regress and age. Their defense is pretty good, but they're going to age and regress. They've got to solve this quarterback issue. This is their main offseason focus. That makes guys like Michael Pittman Jr. a good investment target because he is their alpha wide receiver. It also makes Jonathan Taylor a target, right? He had a very bad year, very much underperforming. His values are very much down. So both of those guys would benefit big time from a big name quarterback coming in. It's not going to be a veteran. I think they've learned that lesson. They may go rookie quarterback through the draft. They may actually try and move up. The problem is the owner, Jim Irsay, is way too involved. He's like Jerry Jones for the Colts, right? He's way too involved. He may be making decisions there, and the guy is just he's not a personnel manager, man. He needs to let his supporting members help make decisions there. Victor said Monty Ossenfort, Cardinals' new GM, had been with the Titans director of player personnel. Tom trying to sell Derek some Gabe Davis rookies. So yeah, the Colts are actually a really interesting one, and people just are going to have a really bad taste in their mouth. So, like I was saying, if you look at the AFC South and with how bad of a spot the Houston Texans are in, with how bad of a spot the Colts are currently in, with the Tennessee Titans regressing, the Jags are the up and coming AFC South force. If you think about it, if the Colts don't figure out this quarterback situation, the Jags could be taking the AFC South title for the next 4 or 5 years, guys. Which, if that's the case, like, start investing in Jags players led by Trevor Lawrence, man. And we could see Trevor Lawrence's values steadily increase and go up over the course of the next 4 or 5 years. Jags have showed a lot this season, man. They've got a lot to build around right now. And so they could be looking at a potential dominance in the AFC South for the next few years now, after the way this season has ended. So that's my yeah, baby. I love me some Travis Etienne. Love it. So that is my golden nugget for the end of the stream. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me tonight. I hope you guys enjoy the games this weekend. Tune in I had some stuff that was supposed to be delivered today. I might have to go check the mail, man. But I have a video that I want to release tomorrow, and I want to talk about the flips of the week if I do not have any mail to open up, which I think I do. But we will see you guys there. I appreciate you guys tonight. Stay tuned. See you in the next video. Peace.